Bloober Team's Silent Hill 2 Remake was released, and I, like many others, were a bit cautious about it, as the early trailers shown by Konami did not paint a great picture. However, after playing it, I can say for sure that it's a great game, although I don't think it replaces the original Silent Hill 2, and it's plagued by a few technical issues on PC. So let's talk a bit about the Silent Hill 2 Remake. When the Silent Hill 2 Remake was announced, a lot of people, including me, thought it was an impossible job. The original Silent Hill 2 is very much a product of its time, and considered to be a cult classic among horror game fans. So a remake created in 2024 by an European developer that doesn't have the greatest track record seemed like a bad idea that would only piss off a lot of people. In addition, the first trailers released by Konami did not help either. But by following Capcom's recipe for successful survival horror remakes, Bloober Team has managed to create a great game that is enjoyable to play and follows the original story very closely. It's not a perfect game by any means though, which is why I don't think it replaces the original game. The combat, which is quite enjoyable and definitely better than the original, is still very clunky at times, with James missing melee attacks on enemies right in front of him, and some enemies sliding from a very long distance and connecting attacks that the player certainly wouldn't expect from that far. Aside from that, the gameplay animations in general have an amateur feel to them, as it's quite clear that they're handmade instead of motion captured. When combined with the cutscene animations, which are high quality and motion captured, these gameplay animations create a stark contrast and make the game feel less like a AAA experience. If you compare them to something like Resident Evil 4 Remake, from which Bloober Team obviously drew inspiration, the difference is quite clear. Now let's move on to some more subjective topics. I believe some aspects of this storytelling ended up a little worse than the original. For instance, the character designs. I think that most of the characters in this remake have kind of an uncanny look to them. Like James and Angela, for example. Both look like their hair doesn't belong to them, like they're wearing wigs for some reason. And Maria's outfit is the only one that was changed from the original. Every other character wears the same clothes as they did in the PS2 game, but without spoiling anything, I think that Maria's new outfit doesn't reflect her backstory as much as the original did. And they referenced her old outfit in the remake in a way that I don't like, which felt like they were teasing fans of the old game. And finally, some of the acting in this game is a bit inconsistent. Some scenes I thought were better acted than the original, but some scenes were a bit flat. The original had some awkward acting as well, but the remake had the opportunity to improve on that, and in some scenes it failed at doing so. I won't show any specific scenes to avoid spoilers, but I thought at least one important scene near the end of the game was quite disappointing in the acting department. But in most scenes the acting is at least on par with the original game. Now let's talk about the technical side. The game uses Unreal Engine 5, and as a result, the graphics are quite impressive. The fog effects in the streets are very good looking, and the lighting and reflections are very nice as well. But all of that comes at a steep cost. This game is incredibly heavy on the GPU, and my good old RTX 2060 Super isn't able to maintain 60 FPS at 1080p even with DLSS balanced enabled. If your GPU is old or not very powerful, I do not recommend this game at all, unfortunately. And the raw performance isn't the only problem either. A common issue with UE5 games is what's known as traversal stutter, and it's present in this game in full force. Basically, when you're moving through the game world, the game will have severe stutters when it loads new areas. Aside from that, for some reason, Bloober Team decided to limit the cutscenes to 30 FPS, even on the PC version. And finally, the mouse support for this game is not great, because it has smoothing enabled permanently and the sensitivity is too high. Now, if you're playing it on PC with a mid to low end GPU like mine, I have a couple of suggestions. First of all, there's a mod that unlocks the frame rate for the cutscenes, and you can find a link in the description. It works fine for the most part, but there's at least one known bug in the first cutscene of the game, so there may be more bugs. Secondly, to improve the performance, you can try launching the game in DX11 mode. You can do that by going to the game properties on Steam, in the General tab, on the Launch Options field, add minus DX11. This improved my frame rate significantly. As for the graphics settings, turning shadows to medium or low improved the FPS a lot, without changing the visuals too much. You can also leave shader quality on medium for a bit more FPS and turn off SSR reflections, which look terrible anyway. Aside from that, some people have reported that turning off the Steam overlay improved performance for them, but it didn't do anything for me. Anyway, these were my thoughts on Silent Hill 2 Remake. Despite its shortcomings, I think it's a game worth playing for sure, especially if you're already a fan of the original. I just hope that Konami decides to release the old versions of the Silent Hill games on Steam as well, like they did with the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like and subscribe for more. If you want to get in touch with me, follow me on X. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
No. You're not.
Do I look like your girlfriend?